All right, so today we're going to be looking at 5 key workouts for training for a marathon. How's it going, everybody? I am Cheyneinman, a 218 marathoner. I coach cross country and track at the high school level, as well as adults and youth athletes for their own race goals. And today we're going to be going over 5 key workouts for a marathon training cycle. If you are looking for a running coach, feel free to email me and we can see if it would be a good fit. And hopefully these 5 workouts are something you can implement in your own training cycle and go forward towards a new PR. So the first one we're looking at is the long run. So easy pace long run, and basically an easy pace long run is important. And I say easy pace because later we're going to be going over a more workout specific long run, but the easy pace long run should be the goal for anyone doing a marathon. That should be the key point. So if you're just trying to complete the marathon, you're building up that distance little by little, and by the end of your training cycle you're getting up to 18, 20, 22 miles, and it's all done at a relaxed conversational pace. And so I think some people push their easy pace long runs a little too hard, and maybe they get hurt or they build it up too quickly. So what you really want to do is kind of do like a 3-week build, and then that 4th week you're taking it as a recovery week. And so in that recovery week, maybe you're taking your long run down a little bit, because if you're not doing a lot of mileage, your long run is going to be the bulk of your weekly mileage. So you want to go, let's say you're just starting out, brand new to running, and you're getting a long run of 5 miles. The first or second week you're out there, you're at 5 miles. Then the next week you're at 6, and then maybe you're at 7, and then maybe the 4th week you're dropping it back to 6. Now you're climbing back up again. Maybe you're at 7, then maybe you're at 9, 10, and then maybe you're dropping it back to 9, and then building up. Maybe you're at 11, 13, 14, and so on. And so by doing that 4th week as a down week, you're letting your body absorb the work you've put in, and you're also not just climbing without getting any kind of recovery in. So it is important to dial it back 1 week when you're doing and you're building up that long run. And like I said, it's very important to make that long run at a easy recovery pace. And so the next workout we're gonna go over is a tempo run. So workout number 2, tempo run. And tempo runs are great for anything. Some people call them thresholds, some people call them tempos. It's really just about what works for you. Distance wise, for a tempo run, I'll typically keep it between 4 to 6 miles, sometimes 3 if you're just starting out. And the pace is going to be varied depending on where you're at in your training cycle. If you're just starting out, maybe it's at half marathon or marathon pace, and if you're getting towards the end of your training cycle, maybe it's getting a little bit faster down towards like 10K or half marathon race pace. So just kind of feeling out the pace. What I like to do when I start a new training cycle is do a 3 or 4 mile tempo at goal marathon pace. So, kind of just get your bearings back to where you're at. Maybe you took a couple weeks off after your previous training cycle, and now I try to jump back in with something. It's not gonna feel easy, but it just gives me some confidence that marathon pace is doable. And so I'll do that for maybe 3 or 4 miles, and then I'll keep the distance pretty similar, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 miles as the fitness comes back, but the intensity might go down a little bit or go up a little bit and get a little bit faster. So that's one way of doing it. Some people like to break it into parts. So maybe you do 2 miles at tempo pace, 2-minute break, and then another 2 miles at tempo pace. That's a good way to extend that distance and let your body adapt to the pace a little bit. And then the other thing about tempo runs is you don't want to be racing them. If you're getting close to your 5K or 10K race pace, it's probably a little bit too hard of an effort, and that can put a little extra stress on your body, and that can lead to injuries as well. So tempo run is great for anything from a mile to an ultra marathon. A tempo run is going to help you in your training run no matter what, and that distance can be, like I said, it can be 20 minutes, it can be 30 minutes. It can be 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 miles. And then the third workout we're gonna go over is a progression run. And so progression run can kind of fit in with the tempo run. I like to mix it up and do it a little bit differently each week. So maybe one week is a 4 mile tempo at, let's say the pace, let's say you're trying to break 3 hours in the marathon. Maybe you're doing a 4 mile tempo at 6:45 pace. And then let's say the following week you do a progression and maybe you start at 7 minutes per mile, and each mile you're cutting down and getting down to maybe 6:30 pace by the end. So you're not doing the whole bulk effort at that hard intensity. You're kind of just progressing and getting a little bit, starting out slower than marathon pace and getting faster than probably 10K pace by the end. And the nice thing about progression runs is it's just teaching your body that that's how you should race. If you're positive splitting in your races and you're getting out there and you're falling apart, then a progression run is gonna really help your training, because it's gonna kind of instill in your head, this is what I need to be doing. I need to be getting faster each mile, not falling apart. If everything you do in training is get out hard and fall apart, then odds are that's what you're gonna have happen in the race. So it's really important to practice that in training as well. All right, and then the next workout, number 4, is marathon specific work. And when I say marathon specific work, I mean just really trying to ingrain marathon pace in your head over and over and over again. And you're gonna break it into smaller blocks. So yes, you need to run marathon pace for 26.2 miles on race day, but you don't want to do that for a continuous effort over and over and over again, or you're gonna just burn yourself out or get hurt. And so you do want to ingrain it in your head, but you don't want to overstress your body. So a good way of doing it is, 2 times 3 miles at goal marathon pace with a 2 or 3 minute rest in between, or 2 times 4 miles at goal marathon pace with a break in between. And so you're breaking it down into parts, and you're doing a lot of work at pace, and you're doing a lot of volume with your warm up and cool down, to where the workout is going to be a lot of volume and get good mileage, and it's also going to get you a good chunk of work at that pace. And so I like to do that. Really the last 5 or 6 weeks of a training cycle is just all about marathon specific pace, because you don't want to get out into a race and not be able to feel the pace, and then go out too fast or too slow and then ruin your race. So by practicing that pace over and over and over and over again, it's just going to kind of ingrain it in your head, like this is what it's got to be. And so that can even be mile repeats. Honestly, 8 times a mile with 1 minute rest in between is a great workout for practicing marathon pace over and over again without putting too much stress on your body. But the thing is you don't want to be running faster. That's where I think so many people go wrong in their marathon training, is they are doing structured tempo runs, threshold runs all the time, but they're running it at faster than marathon pace by the end because they're getting so fit, and they're like, oh, I'm so fit, I can run so fast. But then when they get down to race pace in the race, they have no idea what race pace feels like because they never practice it in training. So you really want to practice it over and over again. Honestly, I think towards the end of a training cycle, you can kind of give away with the tempo runs as much and just focus more on marathon specific pace. And you don't want it to be faster than pace, and you don't want it to be slower than pace. If it's slower than pace, that's okay, because maybe your body's a little bit beat up from the volume of training you're putting in there. But if it's faster than pace, no matter how fit and how easy it is, you either need to readjust your race plan and goals, or you need to be practicing a slower pace even if it feels easy, because you don't want to get into the race and say, oh, this feels easy, and you're 30 seconds a mile per mile faster than you need to be, and then by mile 16 you're like, oh god, this isn't good. I've had that happen many times. I mean, there was one marathon where I was like, oh man, I'm on track, I'm gonna run a huge PR today. Like mile 13 was like a 4:53, mile 14 is like a 4:54, and I'm like, god, I feel great. Mile 15 is like 5:05, I'm like, dang, I'm flying. And then mile like 16, I'm like, uh-oh, I don't feel so good. And it's like a 5:45, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then the next mile is like a 6:30, and then the next mile is like a 7, and I'm like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have gone out so fast. So you want to just practice marathon pace over and over and over again to where it almost feels like monotonous and you're just tired of doing workouts at marathon pace by the end of the training cycle. And so the last workout, number 5, that I think is really important for a marathon training cycle is, and this is if you're trying to run a specific race goal time, not just complete the distance, but actually run a fast PR. I think what's really important is to do workouts within your long run. So long run specific workouts could have marathon pace worked in. It could have a little bit faster than marathon pace, could have a little bit slower than marathon pace. But what you want to really do is change gears and put in a higher effort when your legs are tired. So an example of a marathon workout long run could be something like 10 miles at easy road pace, and then 6 miles at goal marathon pace, and then 3 miles cool down. So you've got 19 miles with 6 miles at a hard effort, or a decent effort on tired legs, and then a lot of volume and long run in there in the middle. Could also be something like fartlek within your workout. So maybe you're doing 3 mile warm up, then let's say you do 4 miles of alternating, 1 mile hard, 1 mile easy, 1 mile hard. Then maybe you do a few miles of tempo pace or marathon pace, and then you do maybe a couple faster pace surging in there as well. And so the idea is, one, you're practicing race surging because that's something that's going to happen throughout the race. Maybe somebody goes by you and you want to race them, or maybe there's a pack up ahead that you can latch onto and they can pull you along to a faster time, but you need to pick up that pace to get there. So what that's going to do is just kind of practice those pace surges and movements that are going to happen in the race. And then it's also, which is the more important aspect, is practicing running goal pace on tired legs. So that's where that 10 mile warm up, 6 miles at goal pace comes in. Or maybe it's something like 3 mile warm up and then 10 miles of alternating, 1 mile at marathon pace, 1 mile a minute slower than marathon pace. Alternate back and forth, getting in a hard effort, getting in some pace surging, getting in some practice at race pace on tired legs. And that can be anywhere from, typically I'd say 18 to 20, at most 24 miles with warm up or cool down on one of those. But typically 18 to 22-ish is a good distance for a marathon workout. And the thing about those is you don't want to be doing them every weekend. Majority of your long runs should be at a more relaxed pace. Those marathon workout long runs need to be done after you've built up your easy paced long runs. And then once you've built up the distance on your easy paced long runs, then you can start adding in the intensity. You just don't want to add distance and intensity at the same time. And so you also don't want to do a lot of those because you don't want to waste your race in a workout, and those are pretty tough on your body. So I'd say about 1 per month is a good amount to shoot for. If you feel good, maybe 2 a month, but not more than that, or you're going to fry yourself before you get to the start line. So I hope that was beneficial. Like I said, I am a running coach, so if you feel like you need a little bit more help on how to get started with the plan, feel free to email me and reach out, and we can see if it would be a good fit. Or if you just have questions on anything we went over here, feel free to comment below and like and subscribe. Thanks.